Yes, welcome everyone to the next video. So moving on from the last one where we look at the federal funds rate, we're actually going to be looking at the indicators that they use during the FOMC meetings, whenever they meet. Now, when the FOMC meets 8 times a year, they discuss the federal funds rate. Now, they do this with their analysis from all the data that they accumulate throughout the months and the years, just to have an understanding of where they can actually set this rate. Obviously understanding the requirement that the Fed actually imposes upon every single bank to keep. And of course, that's where they can determine the Fed funds rate. Now, if they lower the rate, what does that do? That increases borrowing. If they increase the rate, that means decreased borrowing. So of course, you've got the inflationary and the deflationary conditions already built uh, into this lesson in a way. So this has a knock-on effect on the economy. But first, we will discuss the indicators they use to choose the appropriate rate change or range. Anyways, the first one is the core inflation rate. So the core inflation rate is the price change of goods and services minus food and energy. So why is food and energy excluded? Food and energy products are way too volatile for this to be included. They change so quickly that they can throw off an accurate reading of underlying inflation trends. For example, the effect of natural disasters on crops. So the food and energy sector is way too volatile at that time. This can create misleading results. Now, understand we've already previously gone through CPI and the core inflation rate as it's called. But this is really one of the most essential parts that they look at just to get an accurate understanding of how much inflation there actually is in the market. So to look at that again, the food market, the main three that they would look at is wheat, pork, and beef. Of course, there's many other sectors as well, but these are just a few that I brought up. Of course, you can do your own research and look more into that. Um, then the energy market mainly consists of oil, gas, and natural gas. Of course, there's going to be more to that as well, but again, some extra research will never hurt. But these three are the main three that we even look at, especially on the charts, particularly oil. Now, what do the Fed use instead? The Fed prefer to use the PCE index. Most of you would not have even heard of this because CPI is very well known, and of course, core CPI index. But this one right here is the personal consumption expenditures. And they use it instead because it's not prone to any short-term inflations, fluctuations seen in the general CPI data released. It's a better indication of the inflation trends. Now, this can be easily accessed, whether it be Forex Factory or FX Street, wherever it may be. But just to let you guys know, this is the main one that they look at, especially in their data analysis. So the second indicator that they mainly look at is the durable goods orders. So a monthly survey by the US Census Bureau that measures industrial activity, particularly supply chains. This is released 2 times per month. So the goods that we're looking at are the goods in particular that last more than 3 years. So what that includes is machinery, equipment, steel, tanks, and etc. The report excludes defense and transportation sector because of random high influxes sometimes. So how can it be used? It measures economic growth. These reports are all orders in present and future. So we know how productive the factories will be, how many people are going to be employed, and thus the economic activity at the time. Timing is long term, particularly when we're looking, in the future market, since they can be future orders. So it's perfect for understanding which stocks to pick out. Hence why stocks are so affected by these reports. If you're looking at certain stocks where they deal with, a lot of production, a lot of machinery, perhaps there's a lot of steel inside there as well uh, with that stock. I would honestly recommend to always look at these durable goods orders because it's going to be so influential, um, especially with the stock prices and where you see it going in the future. So the direct effect that it's going to have: tax cuts or loose monetary policies. It encourages investment into durable goods by the businesses. So that means a higher number of durable goods, therefore shows economic growth. So how can we control these orders? Of course, you can use taxes and tariffs on the imports, because most of the goods, or it depends really what country you're in, but most of the goods are always going to be imported from commodity rich areas, those that actually export all the materials to you. And then loans by banks may have too high of interest rate, so businesses are discouraged to spend. Now remember, we always come back to the idea of monetary policy and fiscal policies and how it directly impacts the economy. Now, with these two indicators of data and statistics, the participants in the FOMC meetings are able to evaluate what inflation is like at the time and accordingly suggest the Fed funds rate as per the data. As discussed previously, this naturally has a knock-on effect on different types of interest rates, loans, credits, and etc. So just to conclude on everything that we've learned right now, the Fed's funds rate is discussed 8 times by the FOMC meeting. As you can tell, it's very influential because it affects the overnight lending and borrowing interest rate between the banks. Of course, that has a knock-on effect on the consumers of the banks. And of course, that's, pretty much the entire population in the US, in the UK, everywhere around the world. And then, of course, these indicators are the main two that they look at. So 100%, I would recommend before any FOMC meetings, you take a look at this data. When it comes to actually finding the data, I'm going to try my best to always add links into the Discord group that we're going to be, you're going to be a part of. And so, yeah, that's it for this lesson. I'm going to see you guys in the next lesson. All right, take care.